Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your bayith, your hall, your mishkan, your mikdash, your temple, your palace, the body that you dwell inside, the house that you live inside, your body. And bring your mind to center. Bring your thoughts and your mind, your makashba, your yetzer to center within oneself, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your yad and your kaf and your regal, where you can pronounce yourself clean. You can look at your clean hands and your clean feet and know that you are clean. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us another Shabath, that we may cease from our labors and our understanding and our Bina Hamad and our own understanding and our own Bina Hamad what we think this world is and what we think this world has to offer, and bring our mind to center for the one who sits in the highest Shamayim, that one may be understanding and we get their akla, their call from him, that one may be able to understand what it means to walk in righteousness and purity of mind and purity of thought, with pure hands and pure feet and pure prayer. And understanding that we don't want to upset the whole Shamayim. If you upset the whole Shamayim, then you will see thunder and lightning. You'll see rain and snow. You'll see the very things that, storms and things in your life that you've never even seen before. But sometimes these things come in your life to test you as well. But all these things are for a reason. So today we acknowledge the one who made out the heart of the earth, all of the Nahar, the rivers and streams of the earth, the one who formed and shaped all of the Kukab and the Yark and the Shamash, the one who formed and shaped all of the beings and the things under the earth and on the surface of the earth and in the Rakia, the one who proclaims his righteousness to all be people on earth and commands every man, everywhere, every woman to repent, to shew. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, as we move forward with Yahuwah's love and understanding that it is a gift for us to even allow us to live another day. And these are all truths that one has to live by. Right, so this is Dabari HaYamim, or 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles, chapter 36, and verse 15. 2 Chronicles, chapter 36, and verse 15. And it says, Yahuwah, the Elohim of their fathers, sent persistently to them by his messengers. Right, so he sent persistently. That means it's a continual thing. Because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. So when Yahuwah sends his messengers to you, whether it's in physical reality or it's in a ruach or in the other world, it is because he has compassion. He's having compassion on you. You say, that doesn't make any sense. You know, why would Yahuwah have compassion on me? Right, so this is the book of Exodus. The book of Exodus, Shemuth chapter 34. Shemuth Exodus chapter 34 and verse 12. Actually, go to verse... Yeah. Go to verse 7, 20, 24. 23. That's the 24. 24. It says, For I will cast out nations before you and enlarge your borders. No one shall covet your land when you go up and appear before Yahuwah, your Elohim, 3 times in a year. Why? Because it says nobody gonna covet, because that's what our commandment was. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, machine, men servant, maid servant, ox, donkeys, or anything that's your neighbor. That's land. So who's gonna covet it? Who's gonna be the people to covet your land? The people, the nations all around. They're the ones that's gonna be covetous of what you have. And then you can actually have a going type mind when you start to be covetous for other people's things. You start to have that same mind. And it says, ye shall not offer the blood of my sacrifices or with anything leavened, right? So anything that comes out, anything that's leavened. Why? Because that's sin. Because a little leaven leavens the whole lump. But it says, or let the sacrifice of the feast of Pesach remain until the morning, right? So we talk about anything. He said, not discerning Yahuwah's body, right? Anytime you're partaking of the bar, you need to eat it, right? Because that's his flesh and his blood. Yahushua said, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. He's literally telling you to make sure you discern what you're eating, and you have to eat it. And you should not wait. And once you get here to the bar, you got to eat it, digest it, and you should not let it remain until the morning. This, I told you, the Pesach is just a continual thing that you have to do throughout your whole life. He said, as often as you do this, you remember my death and suffering until I come. It's a continual thing that you have to do every single time you hit to the bar. Why? Because that's Yahuwah's compassion. What do you think he was in the flesh? And it says, the best of the first fruit of your ground you shall bring to the house of Yahuwah, your Elohim. You shall not boil your goat in his mother's milk, right? All this is important, right? But he's talking about an offering, right? But we're going to go skip over. Going back to 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles. Actually, go to Exodus chapter 34. Go back to Exodus. Shemuth Exodus 34 and 5. Shemuth Exodus 34 and 5. Shemuth Exodus 34 and 5. It says, Yahuwah descended in the cloud and stood with him there, and he proclaimed the name of Yahuwah. Yahuwah passed before him and proclaimed, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, a Elohim, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in steadfast faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin. Right, so how you measure up? How you say measure, perfect measure. But who by no means will clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and the children's children. We're talking about descendants, and descendants. So children, children's children, right? So that's a long time. So some of the things that you're suffering right now in your life, and why things are the way they are, is because of your fathers and your mothers, children's children. You are literally being punished for other people's sin right now. Right? And then when you get immersed in Yahusha, this is why he tells you to avoid such people. Why? Because, right? Then it becomes children's children. And it becomes like that. And it keeps going and going and never stops. Why? Because people's behavior is still the same, even though after they get immersed in Yahusha. Like you can say Yasharal, Yehuda, you can say all these different things, Israel, right? All these things, and you still got the behaviors of the fallen. You got to still got the behaviors of Shem, Jaza, Azazel, Azabah, you still got the behaviors of the fallen 200. You still walking like the beings in the Rakita. Right? I'm going to talk about it, but it says, in the third and fourth generation, and Messiah quickly bowed his head toward the earth and worshiped, right? So that's a quick movement. Quickly. Remember he told you, Judas, he said, whatsoever you go do it quickly. Because Yahushua was like his father. He's like, I like things done fast. Go ahead and do that quick. Right? He just like him. But it says, and he said, if now I have found favor in your sight, right? So what that word for favor, right? This is Exodus chapter 34 and verse 9. Exodus Shemuth. Exodus 34 and 9. That word for favor, right? That word for favor is khan. It means Cain, right? It says khan, right? It means kindness, gracious, pleasant. It means favored, right? Well favored, right? So he said, if I found favor in your sight, O Yahuwah, please let Yahuwah go in the midst of us, for it is a stiff-necked people. Why? He said, you stiff-necked. He said, stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin. He's literally saying, please. Why? And take us for your inheritance. Why? Because he said, why would he say take us for your inheritance? Why? Because you're supposed to inherit something. You are the successor. You are the person that's going to inherit all of it. But yet, he's saying, please forgive our sin, right? Right? When it says right here, going back to 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 15. 2 Chronicles chapter 36, 15. Yahuwah, the Elohim of their fathers, sent persistently to them by his messengers, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they kept mocking the messengers of Elohim, right? So they kept mocking the messengers of all Elohim, right? That's all they kept doing, over and over again. Despising his words, which means they weren't eating it, and scoffing at his Nabi'im, that's mouthing at. Until the wrath of Yahuwah rose against his people, until there was no remedy, until you can't be healed, until you can't. Why? Because there's no remedy. Because there's no remedy for you, because you ain't won't repent. We talked about this. If you don't repent, he said, don't even offer a prayer to me, right? Because you can't. There's no remedy for you. You can't be healed. You gotta repent, and then somebody pray for you, and then you get healed. There's no remedy for it. Why? Therefore, he brought up against them the king of the Chaldees. So anytime you start to see these things how are happening, then you start to understand who killed their young men with the sword in the house of the sanctuary and had no compassion on young man or virgin or man or aged. So it don't matter if you're a Bethula, a Alma, a young man, a virgin, it don't matter. Visiting iniquity of the fathers from the children's children, children's children, because people won't repent. And it says, and all the vessels of the house of Elohim, great and small, in the treasurers of the house of Yahuwah, and the treasures of the king of his prince, all these he brought to Babylon, right? So all that's important. Why? Because Yahuwah has compassion. But they kept on mocking people, right? Go in the book Yeshayahu chapter 57, Isaiah chapter 57, Yeshayahu chapter 57 and verse 1. It says, the righteous man perishes, and no one lays it to heart. Devout men are taken away, while no one understands. For the unrighteous man is taken away from calamity. He enters into shalom. They rest in their beds, who walk in their uprightness. But verse 3 says, but you draw near, sons of sorcerers, right? Offspring of the adulterer, and the loose woman. Why? He say, draw near. Whom are you mocking? Now you see, why would he say use these people? Because that's what the type of people who do these things do. You are a son or daughter of a sorceress. That's the only reason you mocking. Then it says, offspring of an adulterer and a loose woman. He said, you come out from a harlot, from a zanah. So therefore, whom are you mocking? Against whom do you open your mouth wide? Who you scoffing at? And stick out your tongue, right? They stick out their tongue, right? You know what he says? Are you not the children of transgression and the offspring of deceit? Visiting the iniquity upon the children's children's children. That's what he does. He said, you're the offspring of deceit. You come out from the womb of a person and created by two people that are full of deceit. You know what it says? You who burn with lust among the oaks, under the green tree, who slaughter your children in the valleys, under the clefts of the rocks, among the smooth stones of the valley is your portion. It says, they are your lot. To them you have poured out a drink offering, and you have brought a grain offering. He said, you brought gifts to other idols. He said, but why is this important? Right, this is the Nazarene Acts of the Shalakim, recognitions of Clement. Recognitions of Clement, page 197, chapter Eli, evil brought in by sin. It says, but by freedom of the will, every man, while he is unbelieving in regard to things to come, run into evils by doing evil deeds. Right? We talk about your evil deeds. That's what you're going to end up doing. You're going to have evil deeds because you would like good deeds. But you're going to have evil deeds. And these are the things in the world that seem to be done contrary to order. which owe their existence to man's rebellion against Torah, right? That's all it is. That's the only reason evil deeds exist in your life, right? And it says, therefore, the purpose of Yahuwah is for man to worship him. That's why Mashah hit the ground as soon as he heard Yahuwah, right? But it says, which he granted to men in the beginning. Where? In the beginning. Yeah, Yahuwah wanted you to worship him in the beginning, not these new gods that were newly brought up, right? But it says, they were walking in the good way of life in order to enjoy the incorruptible good things, because it all comes with good deeds. And it says, but when they sinned, they gave birth to evil by sin. So you're going to give birth. I mean, we're in the 9th month. We talk about the 9th month being born, 1st month all the way to the 9th month, and then you start giving birth to what you are. You start to give birth to your behaviors. You're going to the longest night, right? But these are all a part of it. And it says, and to every good thing, evil is joined as by a certain covenant of alliance on part of sin. So you're going to make a covenant with it. And then it says, since indeed the earth has been polluted with human blood, and altars have been lighted to demons. And he said, got your altar lighted to demons, and they have polluted the very air by the filthy smoke of the Zabi'im, right? He said they have polluted the air with the filthy smoke of demon worship, of the Zabi'im, right? So he said, what? He said, what are you talking about? No, he's talking about chemtrails, right? He's talking about factory smoke. He's talking about lighted to demons. And it says, and so at length the elements being first corrupted have handed over to men the fault of their corruption. And as roots nourish the branch and the fruits. Now you see why he said, offer to Yahuwah the first fruit, right? But then you start to see, when you start offering to Shadim, what happens? Everything gets corrupted. She says, oh, why we went there? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 1. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 1. It says, the wicked flee when no one pursues. Why? Because you're how you say, you're effeminate. He said, you fleeing, nobody running after you. Why? But the righteous are bold as a lion. Why? Because when you're fleeing something and nobody's pursuing you, which means it ain't got nothing to do with what you're thinking, and you don't have no boldness to look what's pursuing you in the face, then guess what? You're wicked. That's all it is. That's the only reason you're fleeing, because resist Satan and he will flee from you. So if you're bold enough and you resist the devil, Satan, he gonna flee from you, right? But if you start fleeing, ain't nobody pursuing you, right? Then you wicked. When a land transgresses, it has many rulers, right? So now you see why. When the land starts transgressing, you got many rulers, right? So now you see why Yahushua Mashiach came. Why? Because we had too many rulers, right? We had too many. And you know, when you have too many, people can't seem to come to the agreement when you got too many rulers, right? Because you can't really do anything because you got too many. When you only got one, there's only one agreement. I said it and you do it. And then you have everybody's in agreement. But if you got too many, then ain't nobody gonna agree. And you say, why nobody agreed today? Because you got too many rulers. That's the whole reason. But with a man of understanding and knowledge, or binah and da'ah, its stability will long continue. Why? Because now you understand what it means to not have transgressions and you're not wicked. But then he starts to show you why. He says you have a lot of balance and stability with just one. But it said right here, verse 3, a poor man who oppresses the poor is the beating rain that leaves no food. but where I'm going. Going to verse 9. Verse 9. It said, if one turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, why? Because if you turn it, don't the ear taste the bar as the mouth tastes the food? Remember, they were mocking his Nabi'im and they were scoffing at his word. Right? If one turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, even his prayer is an abomination. 6 things you will hate, 7 are an abomination. He said, you turn away your ear from hearing the Torah. He said, even your prayer, even your palau is an abomination. But whosoever misleads the upright in evil way will fall in the pit, right? So that's all a part of it, right? Right, so going to First Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 1. First Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 1. It says, and David built houses for himself in the city of David, right? So he built houses, right? So he did it by himself. No. Ain't no way you're going to build houses for himself in the city of David, right? But it says, and he prepared a place for the ark of Elohim and pitched a tent for it, right? So he pitched a tent for it. Then David said that no one but the Levite, may carry the ark of Elohim, right? He's saying nobody but Louis shall carry the ark of Elohim. For Yahuwah had chosen them to carry the ark of Yahuwah and to minister to him forever, right? So he chose them to do that. But guess what it says? And David assembled all Yasharal at Jerusalem to bring up the ark of Yahuwah to its place, which he had prepared for it. He said, I prepared for it, right? And David gathered together the sons of Aharon, the Levites, the sons of Qahalath, Uriel, the chief, with 120 of his brothers, the sons of Merari, Asaiah, chief, with 220 of his brothers, of the sons of Gershom, and Yahuwah, the chief, with 130 of his brothers, of the son of Eliphan, Shemaiah, the chief, with 200 of his brothers, the sons of Hebron, Eliel, chief, with 80 of his brothers, and the sons of Uzziel, the Aminadab, the chief, with 112 of his brothers. Then David summoned the priests Zadok and Abithar and the Levites and the Uriel and Asa and Yahuwah and Shemaiah and Eliel and Aminadab, and guess what? And said to them, you are the heads of the fathers of the house of the Levites. He said, you the heads. That's a lot. You see that? He said, all them the heads. There are a lot of rules, right? When this scene. He says, consecrate yourselves, you and your brothers, so that you may bring up the ark of Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, to the place that I have prepared for it, right? So you got to literally set yourself in a certain state of mind in order to carry the ark. That you even carry it. Because you can't carry it any type of way. It says, because you did not carry it the first time. It says, prepare. Because you did not carry it the first time, Yahuwah, our Elohim, broke out against us. Right? So if you don't set yourself apart in a certain state of mind, and if you don't carry it properly, because you did not carry it the first time, Yahuwah, our Elohim, broke out against us, right? Yahuwah is going to come at you because you're not carrying it properly. And then it says, because we did not seek him according to the rule. So you didn't seek him according to the rule. Why? Because the Levi was supposed to carry it. The priests, the Kohanim, were supposed to carry the ark, and then they supposed to do what? Bring it to the place where it's supposed to be at. So the priests and the Levi consecrated themselves to bring out the ark of Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal. And the Levites carried the ark of Elohim on their shoulders. with the poles, as Mashah had commanded according to the word of Yahuwah. So they had poles, and they had to carry it on their shoulders. Right? So that some people try to mimic this and then have make their own replica and what they think it looked like, and then they get it and they carry it and they say they the Levites. But these are all a part of it. But let me show you this. And as Mashah commanded according to the word of Yahuwah, and Dawid also commanded the chief of the Levites to appoint their brothers as the singers, right? As the singers who should play loudly on the musical instruments, on the harps and the lyres and the cymbals, and raise sounds of joy. So the Levites appointed Heman, the son of Yahuwah, and the brother Asa, the son of Berechiah, the son of Moriah, their brothers Ethan, the sons of Tasha'y, with them, their brothers, and the second, Zechariah, Jael. They had a lot of singers. Notice all these singers. Yael, Shemiroth, Yael, Uni, Eliab, Biniah, Matthiah, Eliphayu, Melechiniah, and the gatekeepers, Obed Edom, and Jael, the singers Heman, Asaph. It says in Jael, it says the singers Heman, Asaph, Ethan were to sound bronze cymbals. Zechariah, Aziel, Shemaiah, Jael, Uni, Eliab, Meshiah, Beniah were to play the harps according to Alamoth. But Matthiah and Eliphayu and Mechaniah and Obed Edom, Jael and Azariah were to lead with lyres according to the Shemini. And Kenaiah, the leader of the Levites in music, should direct the music, for he understood it. Which means he understood the notes, he understood all of the understanding of it, like Mozart. Because he understood it. You know, like, he understood it, right? And Berechiah and Elkanah were to be the gatekeepers of the ark. And it says, then Shemaiah, Yusaphat, and it says Nathaniel and Amasa and Zechariah and Benaniah and Eleazar the priest should blow the trumpets, Teruah, before the ark of Elohim. Obed Edom and Janiah were to be the gatekeepers of the ark. And both to guard it. So all that he did. But there's a reason for all that. There is a reason for all of it. Right? Going to the book of Exodus. This is the book of Exodus. Exodus chapter 25. Exodus, Shemuth chapter 25 and verse 1. Exodus 25 and 10. Exodus, Shemuth 25 and 10. It says, they shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2 cubits and a half shall be its length, and the cubit is breadth, and the cubit of it its height. I'm skipping over to verse 14. And you shall put poles in the ring on the sides of the ark, and carry the ark by them. Right? It says, the poles shall remain in the ring of the ark, and they shall not be taken from it. He said, the poles shall stay in the ark, you shall not take it from it. And you shall put it into the ark of the testimony that I shall give you. He said, I'm going to give it to you. You're going to put it in the ark of the testimony. Well, I'm going to give you. It says, and you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. Wow. Skipping over. Verse 20. It says, the cherubim shall spread out its wings above the shadow of the mercy seat with their wings. What? Their faces one to another toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubim be. When we talked about the 8th month with Shalom in his house, in the innermost parts of the house, he had the wings touching one part of the wall into the other. That's in the innermost parts of your house. In the innermost parts of the house, that's where it was. And guess what? And you shall put the mercy seat on the top of the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. There I will meet with you in the innermost part. of the house. And you're supposed to carry it. But you got to consecrate yourself. Because if you don't, then Yahuwah going to come after you. But guess what? It says, there I will meet with you. And from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubim. It says that on the ark of the testimony I will speak with you about all that I will give you in commandment for the people of Yasharal. What do you think that is? And you shall make a table of Akasi wood, 2 cubits shall be its length, and a cubit its breadth. Right, all that takes place in the innermost parts. And guess what? He said, you're supposed to keep the poles in there too. Don't take them out. Why? Because this is all important. He said, why is it important? Because he said when they cut the ark, he said the ark had to be made a certain way, and only the Louis is supposed to carry it. Right? And they're supposed to have it a certain way. And when Shalom made the actual house, he put it in the innermost parts of the house with the mercy seat. Right, so this is the book of, so that's important too, right? This is the book of, First Chronicles chapter 28 and verse 9. 2 Chronicles chapter 28 verse 9. Or 1 Chronicles 28 9. 1 Chronicles 28 9. 1 Chronicles 28 9. And you, Shalom, my son, know the Elohim of your father and serve him with a whole heart and with a willing mind. For Yahuwah searches all the hearts and understands every plan and thought. So now you see why you got to do it with your whole heart. Because he searches out every plan and every thought. So if you, whatever plan you got, whatever thought you have, Yahuwah knows it. And if it don't go along with his plans and his thoughts for you, then guess what? He will destroy it. You get what he says? If you seek him, he will be found by you. Where you going to seek him at? There, I'm going to meet with you there. We just read it. I'm going to meet with you there. If you seek him within the innermost parts of yourself, he will be found by you. He's going to be found by you if you seek in the innermost parts of yourself. You're going to find him. And guess what? But if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. And guess what? Be careful now, for Yahuwah has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it. If Yahuwah chose you to do something, that means he's chosen you to work. He's chosen you to work. To do what? Then David rose and gave Shalom and his son the plan of the vestibule of the temple. Right? You know how you get plans? We talk about plans. He said, what are you supposed to be doing? Making plans. You know how you get the plans together. And guess what it says? Making plans for the vestibule of the temple and of its house, in the treasuries, in the upper room, and the inner chambers, and the room for the mercy seat. And the plan of all that he had in mind for the courts of the house of Elohim, all the surrounding chambers, the treasuries, and the house of Elohim, and the treasuries of dedicated gifts. Yeah, you know the things that Yahusha said. You know, your brother has something against you, and he, you know, you remember, he said, leave your gift at the altar, and then go reconcile with your brother or sister, and then offer your gift, because you ain't repent. But get what it says, for the divisions of the priests. Oh, I thought it was just for the Levite. But it said for the division of the priests and of the Louis, Kahan, Levites. And guess what? And all the work of the service of the house of Elohim, for all the vessels for the service in the house of Yahuwah, the weight of weight of gold of all the golden vessels. For each service, the weight of the service of the silver vessels for each service. The weight of the golden lampstands and their lamps. And the weight of the gold for their lampstands and its lamps. And the weight of the silver for a lampstand and its lamps, according to the use of each lampstand in the service. And the weight of each for the table of the showbread. And the silver tables. And the people say, I don't want to do anything. There's a lot of things you got to do. But it says right here, let me skip out of it. All right, going to this is the book of Yeshayahu. This book of Isaiah chapter 37. Yeshayahu chapter 37 and verse 16. Go to verse 14. Isaiah chapter 37 and verse 14. Isaiah 37 and 14. Let's go to 14. And Qahalath received a letter from the hand of the messengers, right? So, he scholar, what do you mean the messengers? He received it with his yard. And read it, and Qahalath went up to the house of Yahuwah and spread it before Yahuwah. And Qahalath prayed to Yahuwah, O Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, enthroned above the cherubim. There, I'm going to meet with you there. And guess what? You are the Elohim and you alone. Seek him and you will be found of him. He said, where you going to find him at? He in the innermost parts of the house of Yahuwah. Know ye not that your body is the house of Yahuwah? You. The innermost parts of yourself. The higher being inside of you. The man, Yahushua himself from above. And Qahalath prayed to Yahuwah, O Yahuwah, Elohim, O Yasharal, enthroned above the cherubim. You are the Elohim, you alone of all the kingdoms of the earth. So that person he's praying. And when you start to look at your inward man, you're praying to a being in your inner man that is above all the kingdoms of the earth. It's inside of you. All the Malkuth on earth. Who sit alone of all the kings of the earth, and you have made the Shamaim in the earth. That's what's on the inside of you in your innermost parts. The one who made all the 7 Shamaim and the Arats. In your innermost parts of yourself. And get what it says. Incline your ear, O Elohim, and hear, open your eyes, O Yahuwah, and see and hear the words of Sennacherib, which he has sent to mock the living Elohim. You know what y'all, and when he said that Yasharal was doing? He said, you come to mock the living Elohim. Where's the living Elohim at? Inside of you. Inside of your body. Yahuwah is the Elohim of the living, not the Elohim of the dead. He's inside of your body. And guess what? Truly, O Yahuwah, the kings of Assyria have laid waste all the nations, Goim, in their lands. And why? Because they covetous. And have cast their gods into the fire. For they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, and wood and stone. He's like, they ain't do nothing. You know how people be thinking they did something, they go conquer somebody. Be like, you ain't doing that. What God you got? Oh, that ain't no God. Oh, that's easy to defeat. But guess what he said? Therefore, they were destroyed. So now, O Yahuwah Elohim, save us from his hand. He's like, now they coming after you. And get what he said? That all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you alone are Yahuwah. You alone. Right? You alone. Verse 21. Then Yeshayahu, the son of Ammuz, sent to Qahalath. So he prayed to Yahuwah, And then Yahuwah in his innermost part of himself. And then guess what? Now Yeshayahu came. Then Yeshayahu, the son of Ammuz, sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim Yasharal, because you have prayed to me concerning Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word of Yahuwah has spoken concerning him. She despises what? She despises you. She scorns you. The virgin daughter of Saon. She wags her head behind you, daughter of Jerusalem. Whom have you mocked and reviled? He said, who did you do it to? Against whom you raised your voice. Recall, when Recall did it to Yaakov. And lifted up your eyes to the heights. And then you got haughty eyes. Against the Kudash one of Yasharal. That's who he said you did it to. Against the Kudash one of Yasharal. By your servants you have mocked Yahuwah. And you have said, with my many chariots, I have gone up to the heights of the mountains, to the far recesses of Lebanon, to cut down its tallest cedars, its choicest cypress, to come to the remotest heights in the most fruitful forest. You came to the most remote place. I dug wells and drank water to dry up with the sole of my foot all the streams of Mizraim. Have you not heard that I determined it long ago? I planned from the days of old what now I bring to pass. So what do you think all this stuff that happened in your life? Yahuwah already predestinated a long time ago. And he said, I'm going to bring it to pass. What? That you should make fortified cities crash into heaps of ruins, while their inhabitants shorn of the strength and dismayed and confounded, and have like plants of field and like tender grass, like the grass of the housetops, blighted before it is grown. I know you're sitting down and you're going out and coming in. That's what Yahuwah knows. He said he knows all your thoughts, all your plans, and everything you're getting ready to do. He said, I know you're sitting down and I know you're going out and you're coming in and you're raging against me. He said, I know it. Because you have raged against me and your complacency has come to my ears. I will put my hook in your nose and my bit in your mouth, and I will turn you back on the way by which you came. And this shall be the sign for you. He said, this shall be the sign. This year you shall eat what grows of itself, and in the second year what springs from that. Then in the third year you will sow and reap and plant vineyards and eat their fruit. And the surviving remnant of the house of Yehudah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Zion, out of Jerusalem shall go a remnant, and out of Mount Seon a band of survivors. The zeal of Yahuwah of hosts will do this, right? Let's keep going to verse 33. Therefore, says Yahuwah concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, or shoot an arrow there, or come before it with a shield, or cast siege around it against it. By the way that he came, by the same he shall return. And he shall not come into this city, declares Yahuwah, for I will defend this city to save it. So how you going to be saved? What did Hezekiah do? He went to Yahuwah, who was sitting on the mercy seat, above the mercy seat. And where is that located? For I will defend this city and save it, for my own sake and for my sake of my servant Dawid. And he said, and Yahuwah, and the Malach of Yahuwah went out and struck down 185,000 in the camp of Assyrians. So people say you need to look at yourself. He said, look at yourself, right? Because that's the whole point. Because that's the whole point of this, right? Going Going to 1 Kings chapter 6. 1 Kings chapter 6. 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 14. It says, so Shlomo built the house and finished it. And he lined the walls of the house inside the boards from the floor of the house to the walls, ceilings. He covered them on the inside with wood. And he covered the floor of the house with boards of cypress. Skipping to verse 18. The cedar within the house was carved in the form of gourds and open flowers. And all was cedar. No stone was seen. The inner sanctuary, he prepared the innermost parts of the house to set there the ark of Yahuwah. So what do you think is in there? What do you think on the inside of you, in the innermost parts of yourself? Shaul said, I wish. He said, I wish you all to speak the same thing. There be no division among you. You know why there's division? Because there are too many rulers. He said, that's why it's so many. He said, it's too many. When there's too many rulers, then guess what? He said, man, it just better have one king. It just better have one ruler. Because when Yahushua Mashiach is the one ruler, then guess what? It won't be no division. But the only reason there's division is because it ain't no one ruler. It's not a one ruler. This is why male and female should have one ruler. Because when there's one ruler, there won't be no division. I say division, right? We're going to math class, right? We're going to math class every week. He said, man, I'm tired of division. What do you mean division? He hate division, right? But I got to divide, right? But at the same time, even Yahuwah has to divide sometimes, right? Verse 19. The innermost sanctuary, he prepared an innermost part of the house to set up the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. So that's inside of you. People say, what do you mean? That has to do with you. The inner sanctuary was 12 cubits long. That's you. 20 cubits wide. That's you. 20 cubits high. That's you. And he overlaid it with pure gold. That's you. Inside. He also overlaid it altar of cedar. That's inside of you. And Shlomo overlaid it inside the house with pure gold. That's on the inside of you. And he drew near chains of gold across and in front of the inner sanctuary, and he overlaid it with gold. That's in the inside of you. And he overlaid it with the whole house with gold. He said, man, I don't know, I never ate gold before. You know how people say, I never had ingested gold before. But you got gold on the inside, you just don't know it. You got gold right there on the inside of your body. And guess what? Until all the house was finished, he said, man, you can't even be finished unless you got gold on the inside of you. You got to have gold. Also, the altar belonged in the inner sanctuary, and he overlaid it with gold. The inner sanctuary, he made 2 cherubim of olive wood, each 10 cubits high. Why? 5 cubits was the length of the wings of the cherub, and 5 cubits the length of the other wings. And he said, they that wait on Yahuwah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. That's on the inside of you, in your innermost parts of yourself. Man, you shall run, man, you ain't gonna faint. You shall walk. You said you shall run, not go weary. You shall walk, and you ain't gonna faint. That's on the inner side of your body. It was 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. And the other cherub also measured 10 cubits. Both cherubim had the same measure in the same form. And the height of the cherub was 10 cubits, and so was the other cherub. And he put the cherubim in the innermost parts of the house. He said, man, I got cherubim wings on the inside of me. He said, yeah. If you believe it. And guess what it says? And the wings of the cherub were spread out so that the wings of one touched the wall, and the wings of the other cherub touched the other wall. There the other wings touched each other in the middle of the house. And he overlaid the cherubim with gold. And he said, what this got to do with anything, right? So this book of Yeshayahu, chapter 66, Isaiah, I don't even know. It's Yeshayahu 66 and 1. Yeshayahu 66 and 1. Thus says Yahuwah of Shamayim. He says, thus says Yahuwah, Shamayim is my throne, my kisei. The Eratz is my footstool. You know, because your feet ain't clean, you know. Yahushua said, you ain't clean. Because my father's feet real clean. Right? You should see it too. It's real clean. It's always in water. It blue all the time. Right? If for some reason, it just clean all the time. And guess what? What is the house that you will build for me? He's like, what you doing? Hey, y'all making plans. You're getting ready to build my house, right? You getting it constructed. Is it finished? Is it finished yet? You put the cherubim in there yet? So I can be above the mercy seat. Woo! I like to be above the mercy seat, above the pure gold mercy seat with the gold wings. And then you put me on top of it. And then you go there and you go inquire of me in the innermost parts of yourself. And you bring to light everything you need to bring to light. And you tell me about everything that's going on in your life. And then guess what? When you tell me about everything that's going on in your life, I'll let you know what I'm going to do for you. Because anything you ask in my name, my child, it will be done for you. Right? And then when you get 2 people do it, oh man, we finna make this thing happen in 2 seconds, maybe 3. But all that takes place in the innermost parts of yourself. And it says, because it'd be like me and the sun agreeing with each other. Because with 2 or 3, it'd be like me and my son. Man, bring it to how it was in the beginning before the earth even was, when it was just me and you. The only way you're going to do that, you got to go to the innermost parts of yourself. He said that probably went over people's head, right? But it says, but it is the house of Yahuwah that you will build for me. And what is the place of my rest? He's like, I'm tired. Hey, I like the Shabath. He said, where I'm resting at? I want to be inside of you. All these things my hand has made. A yard. He said, I built it. And so all these things came to be, declares Yahuwah. I did it. How you think he did it? He did it by himself. He made it. And guess what? How you think he made all your plans and all the things that you thought you were doing? He said, I did all these things for this purpose right here. I made it this way. Before the world even was, I established it. That's what Yeshayahu said. I already proclaimed the king of Assyria is going to do something stupid. And I'm going to send my Malachi and I'm going to kill 185,000 of them because they want to come against you. Because they foolish enough to think that they Elohim or wood and stone is greater than me. And I made everything. It makes no sense. So when you start seeing stuff like that happen, you be like, okay. And get what it says. And it says, and all these things my hand has made, and so these things came to be, declares Yahuwah. But this is to the one whom I will look. He who is humble and contrite in Ruach. He's a depressed, contrite in the Ruach. Why? Because he ain't got, man, that's who he gonna look to. And trembles at my debar, not scoffing at and mocking at his debar, like the people did when the Nabi came, when the king of Assyria, they come to mock. Look what they're doing. They mocking, right? But then you start to see they tremble at the debar. He who slaughters an ox is like the one who kills a man, and he who sacrifices a lamb like one who breaks a dog's neck. He who presents a grain offering like one who offers a pig's blood, right? You know why he's saying all this? Because these people who are doing it like this, ain't humble. They not. That's why they killing all these animals and they sacrificing. Man, it's like you breaking a dog's neck. And guess what? You gonna put a dog on there on the table like Esau? Would you give your code a dog like Esau did? Right? Cause there wasn't no more animals. You gonna be, guess what? You know what that sound? You know what this sound like? He who slaughters an ox like one who kills a man, Nephilim. He who sacrifices a lamb like one who breaks a dog's neck, Nephilim. He who presents a grain offering like one who offers pig blood, Nephilim. That's what Nephilim did. Children of the fallen. He who makes a memorial offering of frankincense like one who blesses an idol. Nephilim. Because you're a Nephilim. Because you read in the book of Hanuk, they sending in men, reptile animals, reptiles, beasts, and then man too as well. He said the Nephilim ain't here today. Yes, they are. You just don't know it. He said they got it in their right hand and in their forehead, right? They got it in their yard and in their personality, right? It's already there. You're the children of the fallen. And guess what? And children, children got to be taught by the fallen. And guess what it says? They have chosen their own ways. So that means you chose it. Many are called, few are you chose that. And their souls delighted in their abominations. I also will choose harsh treatment for them. So please think, we reading the Dead Sea Scrolls talking about the Ruach of deceit belongs greed, arrogance, all that stuff we talk about. And he says, to those who walk in it, will be utter destruction, the Malachia destruction in the dark regions, right? You don't want that. I will choose harsh treatment for them and bring their fears upon them. So all the things that people be fearing. Like you see it on YouTube, Instagram, they be looking in the cosmos and the Rakia, they be looking at the earth, they be studying the tectonic plates and the environment and the smoke that comes up. Man, it's 10,000 years since the last time this thing was at, the dates this thing erupted, right? They all their fears. People will always be talking about, yeah, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. He said, even though you know how some people say, yeah, this is gonna happen, that gonna happen, right? But at the same time, those same people who do these idols are still scared. I also will choose harsh treatment and bring their fears upon them because they, when I called, no one answered. Where he calling from? He said, you ain't answered the phone. I called and you ain't answered. And guess what? When I spoke, they did not listen. Oh yeah, I know the type. You the type of people who mock, and you the type of people who scorn. And you cast my words behind your back. But they did what was evil in my eyes, and chose that which I did not delight, you Nephilim. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you who trembles at his word. Your brothers who hate you, your brothers and sisters who hate you and cast you out for my name's sake. He said, why they cast you out? For my name's sake. They hate you. People say, why they don't? Yes, they do. Because Yeshayahu, Yitzhak, when he was in the Philistines, they threw him out. They stopped him as well. And then they try to reconcile him at the end. He said, I thought y'all hate me and y'all cast me out of your sight. I already know you hate me. Because you know your brother, you know why your brothers and sisters hate you? You know why they did it? Because they break dogs' necks, offer pigs' bloods, and they worship idols. That's the only reason they did it. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you who tremble at his debar. Your brothers and sisters who hate you, he talking to you. Because you hear his debar, and you know that your brothers and sisters hate your everlasting guts. He talking to you, who hate you and cast you out for my name's sake. That he talking to you, who've been cast out, who've been called a power and a byword. He talking to you. Have said, let Yahuwah be glorified, that we may see your joy. Right? They did all that just to see Yahuwah get glorified. Remember what he said though. They already told you that people are going to do this. Yeshayahu already told you. But it is they who shall be put to shame. Why? Because they break pigs' blood, dogs' necks, and they worship idols. And they chose their own way. Because it was never Yahuwah's way for people to do that. It was never Yahuwah's way for people to cast you out and do what they did. It was never Yahuwah's way for them to take all your stuff, take all your things, then hate you, cast you out, then mock and slander you. And God, that's not Yahuwah's way. They never was. They hate you. Understand that. Don't worry, Yahushua said they hated me without a cause, right? He said it gotta be written. They hate me for no reason at all. What you hate me for? You know why he hates you? Because he said, I'm saying you evil, right? And he said, let Yahuwah be glorified that we may see your joy. But it is they who shall be put to shame. Why? Because he already told you. The sound of the uproar from the city and the sound of the temple, the sound of Yahuwah rendering recompense to his enemies. And now you see who Yahuwah's enemies are. So do you fit those characteristics? And then you cast somebody out because you hate somebody? And then we want to see your joy. See how much joy you got after you get cast up out of here. One day at a time, take it right, and they want to see you. I want to see how much joy you got after you get cast up out of here, right? I want to see. That's all it is. I want to see everything go down to nothing, right? That's all they want. Because they hate you. That's what they do. Rendering recompense to his enemies. Why? Because that's the whole point. Right? And he said, why? Because people think they do this, right? This is all a part of it, right? So this is the book of Matthew. Because all this is important. Right, this is the book of John, the Ukanon. The book of Ukanon, chapter 16. The book of Ukanon, chapter 16 and verse 2. The book of Ukanon, chapter 16, verse 2. Right, because he says, Shammah is my throne, where's my footstool, right? What house will you build? Why? Because the Ark of the Covenant is inside of you. But when you go through things like that we just read in Yeshayahu, he said, who are you supposed to be seeking? You're supposed to be seeking another human being for advice? You know, I need some advice on this. And everything that's been going on and why it happened to me, I need to understand it in detail. I need to understand it in all components on a PowerPoint presentation with things going across the screen with lights, right? And cameras, right? Action. That's what I need. I need that. I need to do that. Nah, you need to go seek Yahuwah in the innermost parts of yourself with a cherubim mat when he sit above the mercy seat. Because he's looking to you. Right, so this book of Yuchanan, John, chapter 16 and verse 1. Yuchanan, John, chapter 16 and verse 1. It says, I have said all these things to keep you from falling away. Why? Why he said all this stuff? Yeshayahu already told you now. They will put you out of the synagogue. They're going to cast you out because they hate you. They hate you. They hate you. You know why? Because there's too many rulers. There's only supposed to be one ruler. That's why. They hate you. It's only supposed to be one. Because if Yahushua was the only ruler, you ain't supposed to be doing that. What y'all doing that for? But being there so much. But it says, they will put you out of the congregation, synagogue, Aydah, community. Indeed, the hour is coming when whosoever kills you will think. You know what they think? They think, I'm in my Makashaba, in my Yetzer, in my imaginations. I know this person is not going, I know this person is a heretic. He is wrong, right? They will think he is offering service to Allah. You're going to be thinking you offering a sacrifice for me. You know how they be casting you away, thinking you the sacrifice. It's you. It's you is the sacrifice. We're going to cast you out because we hate you, right? But not only it's you. It's like you breaking a dog's neck. You offer up that sacrifice. It's just like it's like you offering swine blood. It's like you worshiping an idol. That's what you do. And Yahuwah said, you my enemy. So you're who your enemy for. And they will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. See, you don't know Yahuwah and you don't know his son Yahushua. That's the only reason you did it. I do know him. No, you don't. He said, had you known it, had you known Yahushua, you would not have cast that person out and did what you did. Had you known it, you would not have crucified Yahuwah and his son Yahusha. Yahuwah in his son Yahusha. Because where Yahuwah at? Where was Yahuwah at in his son? Or in his daughter? Where was he at? In the innermost parts of himself. In the where cherubim with a mercy seat. So who you think Yahusha was praying to when everybody came to kill him at night in the garden? When he knew Judas was coming, he said, y'all can't pray with me for 1 hour. Who you think he was praying to? You think he was praying to some imaginary Elohim in between the mercy seat that sit above the mercy seat? No, he was calling out to Yahuwah in the innermost parts of himself. And get what he said? And they will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. That's the only reason you got that behavior. That's the only reason you did it. But I have said these things to you. Oh, here we go. So those who don't scorn or mock at the word, and those who tremble at his debar, and those who did it already, and those who are going to go through it in the future. But I have said these things to you that when the hour comes, because that's the memory. He said, I appointed this time for this specific thing, Yeshayahu, because I planned this from the beginning. So anything that happened, he said, I planned it. That when these things come, you may remember. See? It's a night of much remembrance. And wasn't the Pesach like that? Shaul said, I die daily. It's a night of much remembrance. That you may remember that I told them to you. To who? To you. To you. He ain't talking to everybody. He talking to you. Whoever that may be. To you. I did not say these things to you from the beginning because I was with you. Right? You can see me, right? You can see me in the flesh. You can see me in the street. You can see me everywhere. I'm walking by the way, lie down, rise up in the ship. Right? You can see me in the garden. You can see me on the mountain. You can see me walking on the water, right? I was with you. But guess what? But now I am going to him who sent me. So the person on the inside, who he met with on the inside of his body, now he's going back to the person that was on the inside of his body in reality. And guess what? I am going to him who sent me, and none of you asked, where are you going? He said, y'all ain't care. I'm going back to the one who sent me. He said, you don't even care who you going back to. They don't even care. They ain't even asking the question. So who you going back to? But because I have said these things to you, sorrow has filled your heart. He said, you ain't asked me where I'm going to. He said, why are you getting sad for? Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the helper will not come to you, the Azar. He said, I got to go away in order for the helper to come to you. Why do you think he formed the Selah? There was not a helper fit for him because Yahushua wasn't there anymore. He said there was not a helper fit for him. He said, I'm going to make you a Azar fit for him, right? This is Azar. He says, a helper that will not come to you, but if I go, I will send him to you. And when he comes, he will convict the world concerning sin and righteousness and judgment. Concerning sin, because they do not believe in me. That's the only reason it's like you break a dog's neck. It's like you offer swine blood. It's like you worshiping an idol. Everybody chose their own way. And Yahushua said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. But y'all chose your own way. And guess what he said? Concerning sin, because they do not believe in me. Concerning righteousness, because I go to my Father and will no longer and you will see me no longer. Concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. It's judged. You know what happens? I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. He said you can't. When the Ruach of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. For he will not speak of his own authority, but whatsoever he hears, he will speak. And he will declare to you the things that are to come. And he will kabod me, not himself. You know what? For he will take what is mine and declare it to you. That's all he's doing. Because it ain't his. It's Yahushua, because there's only one ruler. There's only one. You only can take from the one ruler to give to you. You can't take from multiple rulers and give to other people. You take from the one ruler and you give. He said, I'm gonna give it to you. And get what he said. All that the Father has is mine. Therefore I said that he will take what is mine. Right? He's trying to help you out. And he done said it twice. I said, I'm gonna help you out again. He's going to take what is mine, because he gave it to me, because I'm the successor. I'm the trustee. It's going to inherit everything. So you're only going to be taking what's mine and declare it to you. That's all you're doing. Right? He says, so why is this important? This is the book of, because this is all important. This is all important. This is all important. Where are we going? Oh yeah, this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 in verse Jeremiah chapter 3 in verse 14. Jeremiah 3:14. Return, O faithless children, declares Yahuwah, for I am your master. Who is that? That's the master Yahushua Mashiach. I will take you, one from a city and two from a family. He said, I'm going to take you two and one. Like one from a city and two from a family. And bring you to Saon for what? And I will give you shepherd Ra'ah after my own heart, who will feed you with knowledge and understanding. Knowledge and understanding from who? Their own heart? From their own interpretation, from what they think it should be, and they should be the ruler. We talking about that? No, you only supposed to take what's mine. He gonna take what is mine. It's not yours, and declare it to you. But when you start declaring your own stuff, then you start making up your own stuff, then you're gonna start casting people out. Matter of fact, you know what else you're going to start doing? You're going to be offering swine blood, like you break a dog's neck. It's like you're offering abomination. And you're going to choose your own ways. And you know what happens after that? Then you're going to be like, woe unto the shepherds. Then you're going to be destruction to you, just like Yeshayahu said. It's going to be destruction to you. Why? Because that's the whole point of it. That's the only reason he'll let you do it. Because he want to take you down, down, and down. And that's the whole point. That's why we read in Aramaic Targums, it talks about how the sons of Yaakov, the 12 tribes, they were master shepherds. They were master shepherdess. They understood these things, the male and female. They understood a lot of things. So a lot of things that they understood how things are supposed to operate. They were masters at it. Right? Some people say they're masters. No, you're not masters at it. Because if you were a master at it, then you wouldn't have to be corrected. You know what I say? A corrected person, that means you're not a master yet. Right? That means you ain't mastered it yet. You've done it for a long time, but you haven't mastered it. And when Yahushua starts showing a person how to master something, then you will get corrected, right? But it says, and when you have multiplied and be fruitful in the land, in those days, declares Yahuwah, they shall no more say the Ark of the Covenant of Yahuwah. Oh, what do you mean? Because they were carrying the Ark of the Covenant on the outside. You know how you carry it with two poles, and they were walking with the Levites. And you better not touch that thing. You know, you can see it in reality, right? It's like a person have a nice car, a nice Mercedes-Benz, the Bentley Benz, right? The big B with the B on the front with 500,000. You touch it and you scratch it, right? You're gonna die, right? That's how it was. You carrying the ark with the 2 poles, right? That's exactly what it's like. And guess what? You ain't gonna make no mention of that no more. Why? The Ark of the Covenant, he said, they shall make no more say the Ark of the Covenant of Yahuwah. It shall not come to mind or be remembered or missed. Why? It shall not be made again. What do you mean made again? You know, that carnal version of the Ark of the Covenant. You know, the innermost part, you put it in, make a house for it, and you put it in the innermost parts of the tent with the house. That carnal house that people love. You know, people want, I'm going to build me a nice carnal house. With an Ark of the Covenant, make a replica, and I'm going to put it, and I'm gonna put it on stage, and I'm going to make this whole skit. And I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna have like the Levites carrying it, and I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to be the pastor, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to teach. That's what people do today. The videos are there. He said the people ain't doing that. He said, you ain't supposed to make it. You ain't supposed to make it again. What are you doing? And people say, why are you doing that? Because you don't believe it. And at that time, Jerusalem shall be called the throne of Yahuwah, and all nations shall gather to it, to the presence of Yahuwah in Jerusalem. Why would they all gather? And it says, and they shall no more stubbornly follow their own evil heart, because they tremble at his debar. Because that's what they won't follow their own way anymore. And you know what happens after that? In those days, the house of Yehuda shall join to the house of Yasharal. They say in those days, when people ain't doing their own way and hating people and doing all these things that Yeshayahu said, he said when people stop doing that, then in those days, Yehuda shall join to Yasharal, and together they shall come from the land of the north into the land that I gave to your fathers for a heritage. I said how I will set you among my sons and give you a pleasant land, a heritage most beautiful of all Goim. And I thought you would call me my father. And I thought you would call me my father, and you would turn from following me. Surely as a treacherous wife leaves her husband, so have you been treacherous to me, O house of Yasharal, declares Yahuwah. He said, you love. A voice on the bare heights is heard, the weeping and pleading of Yasharal's sons, because they have perverted their way. You perverted it. They have forgotten Yahuwah, their Elohim, because you're supposed to remember. He will bring all things to your remembrance, your zakar. When you go back to the beginning, he says zakar nakabah. He's going to bring it back to your remembrance. Why? Zakar. Male child, female child. Male animal, female animal. I'm going to bring it back to your remembrance. What happened? Return, O faithless sons. I will heal your faithfulness. Faithlessness. How you going to heal that if you don't repent? You can't pray for somebody who don't repent. You can't heal nothing. I don't care how many prayers you offer. If a person don't repent, you can offer 1,000 prayers. And if that person don't repent, out of 1,000 prayers you offer, not one of them 1,000 prayers even work. Until that person makes a conscious effort within their own self not to reject the bar and to hear it and to stop, you won't change anything. Once they repent, it's like, I can pray for you now. Behold, we come to you, for you are Yahuwah, our Elohim. Truly, the hills are a delusion, the orgies on the mountains. Truly, Yahuwah, our Elohim, is the salvation of Yasharal. But from our youth, the shameful thing has devoured all for which our fathers labored. Their flocks and their herds and their sons and their daughters. Let us lie down in our shame. It is they who are going to be put to shame. Because they hate you. They cast you out. And you know what happened after that? And let this honor cover us, for we have sinned. He say, we have sinned against Yahuwah Elohim, and we and our fathers from our youth even to this day, and we have not obeyed the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim. Why? He said, you haven't. Because the Ark of the Covenant, he said, you ain't going to make no mention of it because it's going to be inside of you. You're not going to be looking for a carnal Ark of the Covenant anymore. Because the Ark of the Covenant is going to be inside of you. It's inside of you. In the innermost parts of yourself. It's always been there. That's where you meet with Yahuwah at. It's all overlaid with gold, with wings touching each wall. It's on the inside of you. No more you're going to be talking about Ark of the Covenant and making it, because people are going to worship it as soon as you build it. You start carrying it with the priests, and the people are going to be worshiping it, bowing down to it, burning incense to it, because they think it got all this power, which at the same time it did, right? So go in the book of Joshua. Go in the book of Joshua. I don't know if I even should say this. I'm going to go there and say it. You go in the book of Joshua, chapter 5, verse 1. Go to Joshua chapter 4. I think it's Joshua chapter 4. Yeah, Joshua chapter 4, verse 1. Joshua chapter 4, verse 1. It says that when all nations had finished passing over Yarden, Yahuwah said to Yahusha, take 12 men from the people, from each tribe, a man, and command them, saying, take 12 stones from here out of the midst of Yarden, and from the very place where the priest's feet stood firmly, to bring over with you and lay them down in the place where you lodged tonight. So let's skip it over, going over to verse Joshua chapter 3 and verse 10. 3 and 12. Now therefore take 12 men from the 12 tribes, from the tribes of Yasharal, and each tribe a man. That's 12, right? And when the soles of your feet of the priests bearing the ark of Yahuwah of all the earth shall rest in the waters of Yarden. Huh? So who bearing the ark of Yahuwah? Who got the ark of Yahuwah on the inside of them? Who? Just said it. You. And guess what? Of Yahuwah, it says, and shall rest in the waters of Yarden. The waters of Yarden shall be cut off from flowing. When you put your feet in the water. And guess what? And the waters coming down from above shall stand in one heap. Because you got the ark. He said, you got the ark. And guess what? So when the people set out from their tents to pass over Yarden with the priests, So who got the ark on it? The Kahan got the ark, and the people got the ark. Right. Because he's in the innermost parts of yourself. And everybody got the ark. So guess what happens? Because you ain't going to make no mention of this ark, the one they carrying. Because everybody got it on the inside. And guess what happens after that? When you go over as one across the water. You know what happens after that? So when the people set out from the tents to pass over Yarden with the priests, the Kohanim, bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, as soon as those bearing the ark had come as far as Yarden, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark were dipped in the brink of the water. Now Yarden overflows all its banks throughout the time of harvest. The waters coming down from above stood and rose up in a heap very far away at Adam. At Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan. It says, and those flowing down toward the sea of Arabah, the seesaw, were completely cut off. And the people passed over opposite Jericho. If you believe it. Because a lot of people don't believe it. Because they say, nah, that ark, that innermost parts of myself, that ark with the testimony and the mercy seat, that junk don't mean where Yahuwah sit at above the mercy seat. That stuff don't mean nothing. Where the ark of the covenant at, that don't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. It does. If you believe it. Now the priest bearing the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah stood firmly on the dry ground in the midst of the Yarden. He said, because everybody ain't gonna believe it, right? But the ones who do believe it, he said, you be helping other people cross, right? Because you be making everything move. Everybody not gonna believe this. It's okay. Those who don't reach that, it's okay. It's okay. And all Yasharal were passing over on dry ground until the nation finished passing over Yarden. He said, that thing don't mean nothing. Who cares? Right? But it does. It really does, right? Going to the book of going to the book of 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians, I think it's 1 Corinthians. You go to Hebrews chapter 9, verse 1. 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 Now, even the first covenant had regulations for worship. Oh, yeah, it did. You see all them regulations we just went through? It was a lot of regulations. You transgress, you die, right? And an earthly place of Kudash, right? For it, because you had to be set apart, you had to be consecrated. You had to be in a certain state. You couldn't hold that thing. I'm telling you, you're gonna break out against you. You be like, what you doing? You can't go to another level in this without doing certain things to yourself. For a tent was prepared, the first section in which were the lampstands, that's menorah, we talked about that, and the table, that's the shulchan, and the bread, the lakam of his presence. All that takes place. It is called the Kudash place. So what that's at? Behind the second curtain was the section called the most Kudash place, having the golden altar and the incense and the ark of the covenant covered on all sides in gold, in which was the golden urn holding the manna, the man, Aharon's staff that budded, and the tablets of the covenant, the 10 commandments. I told you I get the 10. You say, I don't need to get the 10. Yeah, you do. You need to get to the yard. You need to get the 10. And you need to eat that man too. You need to eat malaki food. And you need the blossom. You need the zizi too. You need a parak. But it says right here, and the tablets of the covenant, above it were the cherubim of their kabod overshadowing the mercy seat. What is all that? Of these things we cannot now speak in detail. Now you see why. Because it's none of your business. Ain't none of your friend's business, right? It ain't none of your friend. It ain't none of your business. It's only for you who know it. I can talk about it all day. I can talk about it. You can talk about it in real detail too. And you go through all the other different understandings and knowledge and understanding. But he said, I can't talk about it. It's illegal. Because everybody don't need certain things. It's illegal. Though these preparations having thus been made, the priests go regularly into the first section, performing their ritual duties. These are things you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. We already talked about the morning sacrifice, evening, offering the sacrifice in the morning, evening, noon, all these things. 7 times a day, right? All this stuff. You see how many singers David had? You see how many times did David sing? He said 7 times a day I sing, right? But it said, but into the second, only the Kahan priest goes. Now you see where you got to be at a certain level to go into the next part. You know how you say you got one section where everybody do that's the daily. We do that all the time. But when you trying to go to the other part of yourself, you know, the other part of yourself that people be thinking like, nah, you just go in there any type of way in the other part of yourself. That's a whole nother consecration. You gotta do the whole nother thing. The high Qahalath, it says, but in the second, the high priest goes. All that immersion Yahushua have put him on. Oh, never mind. Never mind. All that immersion Yahushua have put him on. You know what Yahushua was? Consider him the high priest of our profession. And get what it says. And he, but once a year, and not without taking blood, right, which he offers for himself for the unintentional sins of the people. He said unintentional. I mean, you ain't do it on purpose. It was unintentional. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that you were the high Qahalath. I didn't know that was your wife, such and such, Abraham. You said she was your sister. I didn't know. But still, Yahuwah don't care. Especially when two people pray at the same time. Yahuwah don't give a... He answered that thing immediately. Right? By this, the Qahalath Ruach indicates that the way into the Qahalath places is not yet open as long as the first section is still standing. Right, that first section we did. Because that was a blockage for people who weren't the high priest. Because the high priest could only go into the second section. But as long as that first section existed, nobody was able to go to the innermost parts of the whole sanctuary, of the temple. Because that first section that's as far as you go. And, you know, after that, I'm the person that's supposed to go in because I am, right? He chose me, right? You know how they have, right? But here's what he said. Because you can, right? It's like going in the curtain, the VIP. You couldn't go past the curtain because you ain't have no money, right? Right? That's what they do, right? And amazing where they get that stuff from. Even that's for sin, though, but still. And amazing they do that. The way into the Qahalath place is not yet open as long as the first section is still standing, which is symbolic for the present age. That's symbolizing two worlds, right? You got the physical world, you got that world where you could not cross over into that other part of yourself. It was restricted from you. According to this arrangement, gifts and sacrifices are offered that cannot perfect the conscience of the worshiper. You couldn't. But deal only with food and drink. It's all natural stuff, right? That's why they say you ain't gonna make no mention of the Ark of the Covenant anymore. And various washings and regulations for the body imposed until the time of Reformation. But when Mashiach appeared as a high priest, for all that immersion Yahushua had put him on, of the good things that have come, then through the greater, the more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, he entered once for all into the Qahalath places, not by means of blood of goats and calves, but by means of his own blood, thus securing the eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls and sprinkling of defiled persons with ashes and heifers sanctified for the purification of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Mashiach, through the eternal Ruach, offered himself without blemish to Elohim, purifying our conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim. Therefore, he is the mediator of a new covenant. It's a new covenant. So that those who are called may receive the promise of eternal inheritance. We just read it in Yeshua. He said, I'll come to give you an inheritance. But for some reason, you mocked and you scorned the messengers. Since a death has occurred that redeems them from the transgressions committed under the first covenant, for where a will is involved, the death that one who made it must be established. For a will takes effect only at death, since it is not in force as long as the one who made it is alive. Who made it? Therefore, not even the first covenant was inaugurated without blood. Right? So why is this important? Why is this important? Right, going to Hebrews, Hebrews 11 and 6. I read Hebrews 11 and 6. Hebrews 11 and 6. And without Amunah is it impossible to please him. For whosoever draws near to Elohim, when you draw near to Elohim, man? You're going to go to the mercy seat. With him sitting above the mercy seat with the two wings. You draw near to Elohim, must believe that he exists. You got to believe he in there. You got to believe that's where he's at. And I'm not talking according to your own imagination. We're talking about according to Torah. You got to believe that he's on the innermost parts of yourself, above the mercy seat, where the two wings of the cherubim at, touching each wall, on the innermost parts of the house. You got to believe it that way. And you have to believe that he's inside of you, and you have to go to him in Amunah. Because without Amunah, it's impossible to please him. You have to believe that he exists on the inside of you, and you have to believe that he's going to do what he said. And get what it says. For whosoever draws near to Elohim Yahuwah must believe that he exists on the inside of them, of you, and that he rewards those who seek him. Where do you seek him at? My reward is with me. You know, it says to give to every man and woman for what they have done. So his reward is where? By Amunah, Nuach being warned by Elohim concerning events as yet unseen, because that's the Ruach of truth. That's the Ruach of truth. He's going to show you things to come. In reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. Because he knew, I got to construct a ark, like Nuach. I got to make an ark. What's in the ark? You need to make an ark. Because Nuach, how you say, had just been born, right? You say, what do you mean Nuach? You say Nuach, people have no idea what's going on. He said, you better start using Nuach, right? Because if you don't, right? For the saving of his household, by this he condemned the world and became heir of righteousness that comes by Amunah. You got to believe this thing. You have to believe it. And I ain't talking about the Ark of the Covenant. We're talking about an Ark of wood, right? But at the same time, all these are a part of it. Right? So going to the book of Revelations, Hazum, we almost finished. Book of Revelations, Hazum, Revelation chapter 11 and verse 15. Revelations, Hazum, chapter 11, verse 15. Then the seventh Malach blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices in Shamayim. He said the last trump. Right? They were loud shouts. When you do that? People say, when did that happen? How y'all believe? You know, people say, I believe this. How you believe it? You don't even believe it according to what's written. How you going to understand it? And guess what it says? Saying the kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of Yahuwah and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. He said, you know why they gonna do? You know why people ain't gonna believe this? Because they don't know me or my Father. That's the only reason they did that other stuff we read in Yeshayahu. And guess what? And the 24 elders who sit on their thrones, notice it's 24. Notice it's 24. I told you, people say, man, you have no idea. People have no idea. They be like, man, what that mean? I say, man, if you understand the giant, you understand what that means. Right? That's a whole nother level of understanding, right? But you got to understand it. 24 elders who sit on their thrones before Elohim fell on their faces and worship Elohim, just like Moses, just like Moshe. They did the same thing like Moshe. They did the same thing, saying, we give thanks to you, Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, who is, that's past, who was, that's past, who is present, who was, that's past, for you have taken your great power and begun to reign. He said, you just beginning to do it. Right at the set, right at the last trumpet. He said, you begun to reign. And guess what? The nations raged, same people. They mocked, they scorned, and you know what else they did? They came and mocked the Qahalath and Yasharah, and Hezekiah were praying before the mercy seat with the two wings. The nations raged, but your wrath came, and the time of the dead to be judged, and for the rewarding your servants, the Nabi'im and the Kodashim, and those who fear your name, both small and great. That's virgin, child, mother, right? Great man, rich man, poor man. And for the destroying the destroyers of the earth. You in trouble. You destroying the destroyers of the earth. And guess what? Then Elohim's temple in Shamayim was open. And what's in the temple? And the ark of his covenant was seen within the temple. Oh my goodness. Right? It was seen what? In his temple. The ark of the covenant was in his temple. And guess what? There were flashes of lightning, rumbling, peals of thunder, and an earthquake, and heavy hail. He said, man, all this stuff took place. It was thunder, there was an earthquake, and heavy hail, and rumbling, and lightning. And guess what it says? All this took place. He said the Ark of the Covenant was there, was seen in his temple. Because that's what the Ark of the Covenant, you know what the Ark of the Covenant started doing? When things start happening, you say it's on the innermost parts of yourself. You know what the Ark of the Covenant, just like when they crossed the Jordan, when they had the Ark of the Covenant and the water started moving, things start happening. When the Ark of the Covenant is in the temple, then you start seeing flashes of lightning, rumbling, thunder, earthquake, and heavy hail. You start to see blood, fire, vapor of smoke. You start seeing these things because the Ark of the Covenant is nearby. The Ark of the Covenant is nearby. He said he begun to reign, right? So this is the book of, this is the ascension of Yeshayahu. This is the ascension of Yeshayahu. Ascension of Yeshayahu. Ascension of Yeshayahu chapter, page, it's the Giz edition. Ascension of Yeshayahu, where we at? Chapter 10 and verse 8. 10 verse 8. It says, go forth and descend through all the Shamayims, that's 7 Shamayims, and thou shalt descend to the firmament, that's the Rakia. In that world to the angel of Sheol, thou will descend, but Haguel thou will not go. Right? Because even Yahushua had an instruction when he came down. Yahuwah told him to do some stuff. And thou will become like unto the likeness of all who are in the 5 Shamayims. And thou will be careful to become like the form of the Malakim of the firmament. He said, be real careful about the Rakia. You know, with the Shamash Kugin, you got the sun, the stars, and all the constellations, the cosmic forces, and the cosmos, and the galaxies, and all that. He said, be real careful. And thou shalt be careful. Thou will be careful to become like the form of the Malakim of the firmament, and the Malakim of those who are in Sheol. Like he said, don't become like those in the firmament, the Rakia. That's when you look at the cosmos, the galaxies, you look at the star clusters, you look at all those beings up there. And then he said, don't become like those people in the Sheol, in hell, in the other worlds, in the other realms, in the other, in Tartarus, in those areas of the world. Why? Don't do it. don't do it. He told Yahusha don't do it. So all that immersion Yahusha have put him on. So if you put on Yahusha Mashiach and being immersed in his name, here's your commandment. And thou will be careful to become like the form of the Malachim and the Rakia and the firmament. That's your commandment. And then he says, and the Malachi who are in Sheol and hell. Don't do it. And none of the Malachim of the world shall know that thou art with me of the seven heavens in their Malachim. Of course they ain't gonna know you. He said, marvel not the world will know you. Could they ain't know me either. And guess what it says? And they shall know that thou art with me, till a loud voice I have called to the Shemaims. We just read in the Revelation. He said, man, he said, man, I heard the last Turah, you heard a loud cry. And he said, man, Yahuwah getting ready, you begun to reign now. And guess what it says? And their Malachim and their lights, even unto the sixth Shemaim, in order that you may judge and destroy the princes and the Malachim and the gods of that world, and the world that is dominated by them. And they do it now. Right, skipping over. Going to verse 27. And again I saw when he descended into the first Shemaim, right? Now he just went from the seventh to the first. And there also he gave the password to those who kept the gate. And he made himself like unto the form of the Malachim who were on the left of that throne, and they neither praised nor lauded him, for his form was not like unto their form. But as for me, no one asked me on the account of the Malach who conducted with me. Nobody even asked me. Why you ain't ask me? You know what Yahushua asked the disciples? He said, "Marvel, don't you marvel where I went back where I was before?" He said, none of y'all even asked me where I'm going. But yet you all said, you ain't gonna ask me who I'm going back to see, going back to? Verse 29, and again he descended into the firmament. This is the place where he told you not to be like. He said, don't you be like these beings in the Rakia. You know, the cosmic force, the galaxy, all of he say, the reptilian, what they call it, reptile Draco, right? The star Draco and all these other beings out there, all the way to the Peg star, the Pegasus, right? Galaxy and all that stuff. And all these different places, the Aldebarans and everything like that. Betelgeuse star, right? You know, the Betelgeuse star, right? Up there. And they got all types of stars. He said, he said, and again he descended into the firmament where dwelleth the ruler of this world. Now you see, so that's the Rakia. All you do is look up. That's where he live at. He live at. He said he live in the cosmos. That's where he live at. That's where the ruler of this world lives. And he say, nah, he don't live there. Yes, he do. He live up there. Event horizon, the black holes, traveling through, sucking up light. That's him. He love to suck light out of you. You have no idea. That's him. You know what he says? Where dwelt the ruler of this world, and he gave the password to those on the left, and his form was like theirs, and they did not praise him there, but they were envying one another and fighting. Now you see why he tell you not to be like them, because they got envy and they be fighting, because they are the beings of the Rakia, and they be riding them spaceships and stuff. They all be posting them pictures online, right, doing all that crazy stuff. And he said, don't you be like them. Don't you do it. You know, all that crazy stuff. I ain't talking about the other people. I'm talking about, you know who he talking about. They be doing all that crazy stuff. Don't be like the Rakia beings, right? They be flying around doing all this stuff. Don't you do it. They be envying and fighting each other all the time. That's all they do. And you know what they do? And fighting. For here there is power, it is a power of evil, and envying about trifles, right? Worthless things. Envying about worthless things. And he said, why is this important? And it says, and I saw when he descended and made himself like unto the Malachim of the air, and he was like one of them, and he gave no password, for one was plundering and doing violence to another. Right? He said, why? He told you not. He said, so why you tell her not to be like that? So this is the book of right. This is the whole point, right? So this is the book of Galatians chapter 5 and verse 19. Galatians chapter 5 verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are evident. These are the beings in the Rakia. This is where Satan dwell at. You know what he said? Samael, the ruler of this world. Let's see who you like. Let's see if you obeyed and did what he said. He says, the works of the flesh are evident: sexual morality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry. Man, you're the Rakia. You were the God of this world dwells, in the Rakia, in the cosmos. And no marvel, we go back to where we were before. Amazingly, the same evil people getting ready to go back where they were before. But it ain't gonna be in the first Shaman, you know. You be like, ain't nobody, everybody from Earth. You're a liar. Everybody ain't from here. They going right back to where they were, man. They trying to get back. Just like you trying to get back. You trying to get back to where you were. Aren't you not? Remember where you were falling. Isn't that where you were trying to get back to? But yeah, they trying to get back to where they from too. Everybody trying to go back to where they from. Right? And the Malachi and Sheol too. Everybody trying to, this world is a whole way, that those under the earth, on the surface of the earth, and above the earth, he said, all gonna bow down to Yahushua Mashiach, right? So therefore, it says, the works of the flesh are evident: sexual morality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, you children of sorcerers, enmity, strife, strife. You the beings from the Rakia. He said, he told Yahushua when he descended, he said, don't you become like the beings in the Rakia. Because they be envying and fighting each other and doing violence to one another. He said, don't you do it. Fits of anger, rivalries, dissension, divisions, envying, drunkenness, orgies. We just read that. Orgies in mountains, right? And things like these. I warn you. As I warned you before, he warned Yahushua too. That those who do such things, that those who become like the beings in the Rakia, that the firmament that Yahuwah told his son not to be like. That those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of Elohim. You're not getting past the first Shamayim. I guarantee you, you're not going past the first Shamayim. They're not going to let you pass that place. That's about as far as you go. I'm going to go past it. No, he not. He got a Malachi there. You ain't getting past that. He got to keep the way of the tree of life. He said you ain't get. It's just like any other guards that you have, right? Remember they had the Levite guard in the Ark of the Covenant. Yahuwah had a guard in the first Shamayim, and I assure you, he's very powerful, right? You know how to say it. And get what it says. He said, you will not inherit the kingdom, Malkuth Elohim, but the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, simcha, shalom, patience, arak, kindness, kasid, ta'ud, goodness, amunah, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law. There is nothing against that. And those who belong to Mashiach, Yahushua, have crucified the flesh and its passions and desires. Why? Because it's the same passions and desires of the beings and the God of this world in the Rakia, in the firmament, that Yahuwah told his son not to be like when he descended to the earth. It's the same behaviors. And guess what? If we live by the Ruach, let us keep in step with the Ruach, because the Ruach has certain behaviors with it. And you gotta keep up with it. Man, that thing be running. You gotta run with it the whole time. You can't stop either. You gotta run, you gotta jog, run, you gotta keep running. You gotta keep in step with it too, because if you don't, That thing gonna leave you behind. It's gonna leave you behind. You know what it says? 26. Let us not become conceited, because that's the beings in the Rakia. Provoking one another. And envying one another. You be just like the beings in the Rakia if you don't keep it with the Ruach. Because when Yahusha came through the Shamayins, don't you be like them. Because you're going to be like them. Because these are all the things that he told his son not to be like. And if you like that, then you're going to find yourself not in Malkut. Because Yahuwah told his son not to do that. And Yahuwah going, you're not my son. You're Esau. You're Asu. You're Samael. You Mastama. Right? You Mastama. Cause he'd be assistant. He give you some assistance. I need some assistance. This Thirax, right? Autolis, right? Brulifer, that filthy spirit, right? He says, this James chapter 4, verse 1. What causes quarrels and fights among you? Because you're trying to be like some other people in the Rakia, in the firmament. Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? He said they at war within you. They warring within you. Why? Because this is good and evil, right? It's a good and evil side. This is why he said, he told Abraham, I'm going to multiply your seed as the star of Shamayim. As a Kukah. As the star you see in the Rakia. Why? Because they corrupted it. The beings in the Rakia, the people in the Rakia corrupted it. They corrupted the whole Rakia, the firmament, the cosmos. So he's saying, I'm going to multiply your seed. Even though you look at the cosmos, I'm going to be you're going to be the people that's going to outnumber them. You got to outnumber them because they are literally blinding the minds of them who believe. They're blinding the minds of people. So I need you to outnumber them so they won't blind the minds. The God of this world and the people, beings in the firmament won't blind the minds of the people. It says, and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? That's why you fighting. Why do you think people fight? They start fighting, especially when they do it with, he said they start fighting, right? You desire and do not have, so you murder. He said they doing violence on one another in the Rakia. You should pass through that thing too. You think Yahuwah don't be seeing you? You will be passing through. He be like, yeah, Yahuwah told me not to be like that. You know what he told his son? I'm gonna show you what he told his son. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. Same thing we read in essentially Yeshayahu. And you do not have because you do not ask. You do not ask and you do not receive because you ask wrongly and spend it on your passions. Why? Because you're doing it all according to envy. You adulterous people, right? Because now you see why he told his son not to be like the beings in the Rakia. He said, you like a treacherous wife who will leave her husband. You adulterous people. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? Why? Because the God of this world, Elohim of this world, lives in the Rakia, in the firmament, and they have these behaviors. And he told his son not to be like them. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim? It's a hatred. They hate you. Yahuwah hate you. You know that. People say he don't hate me. Yeah, he do. He hate you. He says, therefore, whosoever wishes to be the friend of the world makes himself an enemy of Elohim. He said, so you just gonna be, you were like, you my enemies. All y'all my enemies gonna be put to shame, like Yeshayahu said in 66. Or do you not suppose it is to no purpose that the scripture says he yearns jealousy over the Ruach that he has made to dwell in us? In us? But he gives more calm. Therefore it says, Elohim opposes the proud, but gives calm and gives calm to the humble. So this, because he's going to look to you. Submit yourselves, therefore, to Elohim. Resist Satan in the Rakia. That's why he is. He's the God of this world in the Rakia. Because when Yahuwah said the God of this world, He ain't talking about here on earth. Like we standing on earth, you know how we looking, we on the ground right here on solid. He not talking about the God. That's not the God of this world he talking about. You gotta look up. You gotta look up. Because that's where he at. That's where he at. Look up. Because Yahushua is going to come through that. He's going to come through there again, right? But look up. That's where the God of this world at. He up there. That's why you need to pay attention. He up there. And with those who want to know, they already know they're getting ready to put up. Yeah. You see what it's not rocket science, right? It's not rocket science. It says, he gives more con. Therefore it says, Elohim opposes the proud but gives con to the humble. Submit yourselves therefore to Elohim, resist Satan, and he will flee from you, because the wicked flee when no man pursues. Retreat. Like Pharaoh. Because you know what Pharaoh did? Pharaoh was pursuing him. He said, Elohim fights for them. And he left, and he fled, and he left. And the water came and crashed on his head because they ain't had the Ark of the Covenant inside of them. They didn't have the mercy seat on the inside of them. They didn't have the innermost parts of themselves in the correct standing on the inside of them. So therefore the waters came and drowned them. And that would be you if you don't repent. Because everybody crossing. Draw near to Elohim and he will draw near to you. Oh, anybody draw near to Yahuwah, he said you better pay attention. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, right? Because you got to cleanse your yard. I told you, he said your yard, your hands. I thought Yahushua said we don't supposed to wash our hands. He said, cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts. You double-minded, you double-dragon, right? You know what I say? Double-minded, which means you have a double mind. You're not all light. It could mean if we're warring ourselves, that means we still have sin, or we have light and darkness, right? Because in Yahuwah is no darkness at all, which means we still ain't full light, which means we still got Rakia on the inside of our heart and our mind. While you look up, you see the Rakia, you still got a little darkness in your mind. And that little bit of darkness has blinded your mind. And therefore, that's why you war in yourself. That means you're a sinner. For all have sinned and come short. You say, I ain't no sinner. I said, okay. Be wretched and mourn and weep. That's the only way, because you will like that. Let your laughter be turned into mourning, and your joy into gloom. Humble yourselves before Yahuwah, and he will exalt you. Do not speak evil against one another, brothers and sisters. Right? He said, man, it was a great evil. We read in Tasha'y, man, it's evil in the Rakia. Woo! Them beings in the firmament, in the cosmos. When it says, the one who speaks against his brother or sister or judges his brother speaks evil against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. Therefore, there is only one lawgiver. He said there's only one ruler. You know, he talks about many rulers. You'd be having a whole bunch of fighting. He's like, ain't nobody gonna be, but you have one ruler. There's only one lawgiver and judge. He is able to save and destroy. But who are you to judge your neighbor? Come now, you who say today or tomorrow we will go in such and such town and spend a year there and trade and make profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. You don't even know. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if Yahuwah's will, these things will happen. We will live and do this or that. All it is, you boast in your arrogance. He's like, yeah, I already know, right? But if he take it, what you gonna do? Say, man, I was wrong. I thought I was gonna get it. No, it's all his will, and you just got to submit to his will. Nevertheless, not my will, not my plans, but your plans and your will. All such boasting is evil. I mean, we just talked about Rakia. He said, man, it was much evil in the Rakia with violence. So whosoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin. Right, so we almost finished, right? So this is Nazarene, Acts, advantage of knowledge. So we must above all things hasten to the knowledge of the truth, that as with a light kindleth thereat, we may be able to dispel the darkness of errors. Why? Because that darkness on the inside is error. And it'll create behaviors in you that he told his son not to be like. For ignorance, as we have said, is a great evil, is real great evil, just like Sentient Yeshayahu said. But because it has no substance, it is easily dispelled by those who are earnest. For ignorance is not knowing what is good for us. Once know this, then ignorance perishes. Therefore, the knowledge of the truth ought to be eagerly sought after. And one cannot confer it except the Nabi of Ma. He say the Ruach of truth. For this is the gate of life to those who enter, and the road of good works going to the city of salvation. Because all who do the other works, he said, ain't no way you're going to inherit the kingdom of Elohim. There's no way. Right? This is mostly Proverbs 15 through 18. All the days that the afflicted are evil, but a cheerful heart has a continual feast. Right? A kagag, continual celebration. Better is a little with the fear of Yahuwah than great treasure and trouble with it. He say, than great treasure with trouble. Right? It's better to have a little with the fear of Yahuwah. Right? That's important to understand. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is. Right? Man, much love with it too. With herbs, right? Just plants. Right? Than a fatted ox and hatred with it. Man, they hate you. They cast you out. They cast you out. They say, we're going to see where your joy comes from, as Yeshayahu chapter 66 said. We're going to see. That's why they told Yahushua, said, if you be the son of Elohim, come down. And we'll believe in you. You trust in Elohim, let him deliver you now. If he will have you, cast you out, right? We'll see where your Elohim at. Right? He said, better is a dinner of herbs where love is. He said, Ta'u Aruka Yirak, right? That is better dinner of herbs. Wu Ahaba Shem. Better is a dinner of herbs with a loving name. Mishor Ibuts Ushana. Bo of Saneh. When hatred comes, then an ox stalled with hatred when hatred comes with it. Because there's no point. Anybody who does anything with hatred that comes with it, it's just better to have herbs. Better to have just, he says, it's just better because it's love with it. Because usually when people start eating and doing these things like this, you get a lot of hatred. You get a lot of beings in the rakia. You get a lot of those behaviors from the firmament. And you'll start to see it. Right? Verse 18, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife. That's the beings from the rakia. That's the people he told Yahushua not to be like them people. He said, be careful not to come like them. Or the Malachi and Sheol. Don't you become like them. But he who is slow to anger quiets contention. Right? That's what he told him. Right? Better is a dinner of herbs. That word for dinner is aruka. Right? Meal, allowance, ration, a diet. Better is an aruka of herbs, right? That's the whole point, an allowance, right? This is Psalms 85, 10 through 12. Steadfast love or kasid and faithfulness or amaz, truth meet together. Pagar. Righteousness or sadiq and shalom kiss each other. He said that's what happens. And it says, faithfulness springs up from the ground, and righteousness looks down from the sky. Yes, Yahuwah will give what is good, and our land will yield increase. Why? When you have this. When you have kindness and truth, and righteousness and peace, then all these things will spring up. Yahuwah will allow it to. But if you have those things that you read in Yeshenchen Yeshayahu, or you read throughout the Torah, you see all the people doing things through envy, as Ecclesiastes says, then guess what happens? Nothing gonna happen. He said, I'm gonna get this yield inside of me. I'm finna have this child. He said, no, you got envy on the inside of you. You got jealousy. You got strife and quarreling. You got hatred. So why would I give you something? It makes no sense. Like why would Yahuwah give his child something when his child acting crazy, right? Right. So that word for meet is pagash. It means to meet, to join, to encounter, to meet together. Because that's what kindness and truth do. They meet together. It says encounter, right? That's what happens. Right, so that word for kiss is nashak. It means to be put together. So when you have kindness and truth, righteousness and peace, you kiss each other. You get put together. He said, to be equipped, to touch gently. Right, you get all these things. Right, all this is a part of it. Right, this is the Odes of Solomon, Ode Shalom 1-16. My heart was pruned and the flower appeared. And Khan sprang up in it and produced fruits to Yahuwah. When the Most High circumcised me by his Kudash Ruach, then he uncovered my inward being towards him and filled me with his love. Because better is Aruka, Yarak, Ahaba, with a loving name. Better is a dinner of herbs with a loving name. And guess what? And his circumcision became my salvation, and I ran in the way of shalom, in the way of truth. From the beginning unto the end, I received his knowledge. From the beginning, because men are supposed to have good works from the beginning. He said, I made you to worship me in the beginning. And I was established upon a rock of truth where he has sent me. And speaking waters touched my lips from the spring of Yahuwah generously. So I drank and became intoxicated with the living water that flows down, that does not die. Living water that does not die. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. He said, my intoxication was not with wine, strong drink. He said, not with no Grey Goose, not with no Heineken. He said, my intoxication, right? And so I drank and became intoxicated from the living water that does not die. He said, I didn't get intoxicated with that. So I got intoxicated with the Ruach. And he says, my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. I turned toward the Most High, my Elohim, and was enriched by his favors. And I abandoned folly, cast upon the earth, and I stripped it off and cast it from me. And Yahuwah renewed me with his garment and possessed me by his light. And from above, he gave me immortal rest, and I became like the land which blossoms and rejoices in its fruits. And Yahuwah is like the sun upon the face of the land. And my eyes were enlightened, and my face received the dew. And my breath was refreshed by the pleasant fragrance of Yahuwah. And he took me to his paradise, wherein is the wealth of Yahuwah's treasures. Right? So that's all a part of it. All a part of it. This is Sirach 3:17-23. My son and daughter, go on thy business in Aydah. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places and of renown. Many. They all in the Rakia too. They in high places of renown. Great, right? But mysteries are revealed unto the Aydah, the meek, the gentle, the humble. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. Seek not out things that are hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. They gonna make no mention of the Ark of the Covenant. Not no more. People want to see that. because it ain't where you think it is. Right? He says, be not curious in unnecessary matters. It's worthless. It's all there to occupy your mind and make you not keep up step with the Ruach. And when you can't keep in step with the Ruach, then you're going to start having the beings of the behaviors of the beings in the Rakia, in the firmament. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men and women understand. Why? Because that's important. All right, this is the last thing in them. This book of Philemon. Book of Philemon. Actually, no, not Philemon. Go to Philippians. Philippians. Philippians chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. Philippians chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, so if there is any encouragement in Mashiach, any comfort from love, any participation in Ruach, affection and sympathy, complete my joy in being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambitions or conceit, but in humility, counting others more significant than yourselves. What happens? Then you're going to start counting others more significant than yourselves. Then we're not going to have one ruler anymore, which is Yahushua Mashiach. Then you're going to be fighting in the Rakia and quarrels and fights like people, beings in the Rakia. You're going to be like them. And you're going to be having great evil, doing violence to each other. That's why he's saying that. And you ain't going to be believing the same thing. And you ain't going to have the ark inside. And when you walk across the river, some of y'all going to drown. You're trying to get to the other side. Because you got to go to the other side many times. You got to have the Ark of the Covenant and go across the other side over and over again. You got to cross the gateway there are times you're going to have to cross that gateway over and over again to go to the next part, then cross it again and go to the next part, to cross it again and go to the next part, to cross it again and go to the next part, to cross it again and go to the next part, to cross it again and go to the next part, to cross it again and go to the next part, to cross it again and go to the next level. And then you know what happens? Some people, they forget to carry the Ark of the Covenant inside. And then they don't make it to the other side. They had that show called Sliders. You had to jump through the portal and had to keep doing it. Right? And everybody didn't make it. Because you gotta keep doing it. Because there's levels to this thing. A whole nother world, this stuff. And the higher you go, the more Satan gonna come at you, because he's trying to get to the other, he's trying to get there again, right? It's time to go through it, right? He said, you might be in one right now. And he said, we're gonna have to go through the portal again. He's like, yeah, you gotta go through it again. He's like, here we go. Verse 4, let each of you look not only on his own interests, but also on the interests of others, having this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Mashiach Yahushua, who though he was in the form of Elohim, did not count equality with Elohim. He said, I was in the form of you. Yahuwah was inside of him. Yahuwah was inside of him, just like he inside of you. He inside of everybody. He inside of you. I didn't count myself equality a thing to be grasped. He's like, I ain't nowhere in the world. If I did that, then what's the point of me going in the innermost parts of myself and seeking him out if I can grasp it and I can be just like, what's the point? But emptied himself by taking on the form of a servant, a bod. Being born in the likeness of men and being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even the death of totality. Therefore, Elohim has highly exalted him and bestowed upon him a name that is above every name. That's all in the Rakia too. They got them beings in the Rakia. They on earth too. They go in and conquer people, destroy their land, take their land. Then they make you call on their God. Then they make you and they force you and they do all these things, right? They go and do all these stuff, right? They do all this stuff. They do it to conquer you. Worship the God that we give you now. And if you don't. But he said that a name that is above every name. So that the name of Yahusha, every knee should bow. Because everybody ain't going to do it. He said you should. In the Shama'ims, that's in the Rakia. Right? You know, in the beings in the Rakia. You know the beings in the Rakia. Yeah, you know in the cosmos. And on earth, that's us. We stand on earth right now. And under the earth, there's beings in the Sheol and hell. You know, in the Malaki and Sheol. Yeah, there are beings under the earth they're alive. There are beings in the Rakia that are alive, and there are beings on the earth, the surface of the earth, that are alive. You know what it says? And every tongue confess that Yahusha is master. To the kabod of Yahuwah the Father. Why? Because when he came through, he masked himself. But now he descended to the lowest parts in the innermost parts of Sheol, rose from the grave on the surface. Then he went all the way through the Rakia again, to the first Shamayim. And then they closed the door. And all the beings in the Rakia just watched while he closed the door. And they couldn't get through. And the only thing they could see, he just went through the door and went back up to the 7 Shamayim. So we stuck in the middle of this thing. He said, where you live at? You live in a place on the surface of the earth where the Malachi of Sheol is at the bottom of your feet. And all the other regions of the dark regions and the other regions. And you live in Malachi, and the God of this world live above your head. So you right in the middle of the thing. He said, man, you in the most hectic, chaotic place you ever would see. But that's why you gotta keep your mind on things above. Because if you don't, you gotta keep your mind on things above the Rakia. That's what it means by that. Keep your mind on things above the Rakia. Because if you keep your mind on things above, you're gonna be like, I'm looking at that, the stars. You need to keep your mind in the first Shamayim and above, not the Rakia, because those things in the Rakia will deceive you. The things in the Sheol will deceive you, and you right in the middle of it. Sorry to say, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So therefore, put on the whole armor of Elohim that you may be able to stand the evil day against Satan, right? You need the whole armor, because if you don't, understand, you're in the fight of your life, right? So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the understanding to be Nahamad Da'ah, and we start understanding the envy and jealousy of Satan, your adversary, and his being and the Elohim of this world. For they watching everything you do and looking to take something from you that wrongs. That's all they want to do. They want to take your joy, your peace, your shalom, your tranquility. They want to take all the things that you have so you will be miserable, and they can get inside of your heart and your mind, and they can rule over you and take control over you. That's all they want to do. But we know that through Yahushua Mashiach and Yahuwah is our refuge. And he will not allow his children to have no lack, nor his seed begging for bread. But that's just how he operates. And you will never see us doing that. But at the same time, he shows us his compassion by sending his son Yahushua through the Rakia, and came through here, and even descending to the lowest parts of Sheol to redeem us, not with corruptible things, but with silver and gold. Because people saying, why death had to be swallowed up in victory? O death, where's your sting? Yeah, Rakia. O grave, where's your victory at? You ain't winning. Why? Because death is swallowed up in victory. Because what's above and what's below you is all death. That's all it is. In the Rakia and the Sheol. But you're in the midst. You're in the midst. But knowing that this life that we live is our reflection of him. And we should walk in righteousness always. And not live according to our own self. So we look at Yahushua Mashiach, we look at following his steps. He did no sin, neither was deceit found in his mouth. He followed after the beings in the other worlds and other places. But he kept himself in a singleness of mind and a singleness of heart, and understanding that he should and he will attain salvation, because he kept his mind on things above and not on things on the earth. But he even told us, would you not marvel I went back to the place where I came? Why? Because he kept his mind on things above and not on things on the earth. Nevertheless, not my will, your will, but thine will. Because that's where you sit and you watching. And you keep your mind on things above and not on death, but on life, then you understand what it means to walk in righteousness and to walk in eternal life. The eternal life is above you, but beyond the Rakia. Eternal life is in the highest Shamayim. Eternal life is within you. Because the kingdom of Elohim comes not with observation. You can't see it with your eyes and your ears. You can't see it with your eyes, your natural sight. They're going to make no mention of the Ark of the Covenant anymore. You can't see it with your natural sight. You know, everybody want to see it. But he said that Malkuth is within you. The kingdom is within you. Everything is inside of you. And if you believe on that, just like it's already written in the carnal world, then you understand in the Ruach. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Anu shall inherit the Eretz.